Avo Kunjabihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Padajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Padajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari. Okay. Harekrishna. Let's see. I know where we are. We are on page 488. Okay. Text 43. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 18th day of March 2020 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in chapter 11 entitled The Universal Form, and we are on text 43 on page 488. Pitasi lokas sacharacharasya Tramasya pujash chaguru gariyan Natvat samosyam yadika kutonyo Lokatrayepya pratima prabhava Pitasi lokas sacharacharasya Tramasya pujash guru gariyan Natvat samostyam hadika kutonyo Lokatrayepya pratima prabhava. Go ahead, Marcy. Pitasi lokasya characharasya Tvamasya pujas chaguru gariyan Natvat samostyam hyadika kutonyo Lokatrayepya pratima prabhava. You're on. Pitasi lokasya characharasya Tramasya pujaschya guru gariyan Natvatsamo sapyadika kutonyo Lokatrayepya pratima prabhava. Okay. Pita, the father, asi, you are. Lokasya, of all the worlds. Chara, moving. Acharasya, and non-moving. Tvam, you are. Asya, of this. Pujaha, worshipable. Cha, also. Guruhu, the master. Gariyan, glorious. Na, never. Tvat samaha, equal to. You. Asti, there is. Abhyadikaha, greater. Kutaha, how is it possible? Anyaha, other. Loka trehe, in the three planetary systems. Or on page 488. Actually, 489. Api, also. Apratima prabhava, O immeasurable power. Translation. Arjuna says to Krishna, you are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation, of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within the three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power? Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is worshipable as a father is worshipable for his son. He is the spiritual master because he originally gave the Vedic instructions to Brahma, and presently he is also instructing the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Therefore, he is the original spiritual master. And any bona fide spiritual master at the present moment must be a descendant in the line of disciplic succession stemming from Krishna. Without being a representative of Krishna, one cannot become a teacher or spiritual master of transcendental subject matter. Time out. Don't worry, it's not the coronavirus. Just an ill allergy. The Lord is being paid obeisances in all respects. He is of immeasurable greatness. No one can be greater than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, because no one is equal to or higher than Krishna within any manifestation, spiritual or material. Everyone is below him. No one can excel him. This is stated in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.8. Natasya karanam cha vidyate, natat samastyam jadikascha drishyate. The Supreme Lord, Krishna, has senses and a body like the ordinary man, but for him there is no difference between his senses, his body, his mind, and himself. Foolish persons who do not perfectly know him say that Krishna is different from his soul, mind, heart, and everything else. Krishna is absolute. Therefore his activities and potencies are supreme. It is also stated that although he does not have senses like ours, he can perform all sensory activities. Therefore his senses are neither imperfect nor limited. No one can be greater than him, no one can be equal to him, and everyone is lower than him. The knowledge, strength, and activities of the Supreme Personality are all transcendental. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti sojana. Whoever knows Krishna's transcendental body, activities, and perfection, after quitting his body, returns to him and doesn't come back again to this miserable world. Therefore, one should know that Krishna's activities are different from others. The best policy is to follow the principles of Krishna. That will make one perfect. It is also stated that there is no one who is master of Krishna. Everyone is his servant. The Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 5.142 confirms, Ekale Ishvara Krishna Ahar Sabha Bhritya. Only Krishna is God and everyone else is his servant. Everyone is complying with his order. There is no one who can deny his order. Everyone is acting according to his direction, being under his superintendence. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, he is the cause of all causes. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshurun Miratam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So Arjuna is in full glorification mode here. And he's already begged Krishna for his pardon. Remember? Back there he said, way back when he first started, that I have often, let's see, where did he say this? 42. Yes, 41, 42. Thinking of you as my friend, actually that's the previous verse. I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadav, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, sat or ate together, sometimes alone, sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses. Now, at the time, Krishna didn't take them as offenses. They're simply expressions of his friendship, his natural friendship. But here in this context, when Arjuna is fully conscious of the glory and power of his friend, Krishna, he's in a different mood, in a mood of wonder, of awe, of reverence, even trepidation. That's expressed. So he's asking for forgiveness. And this verse here that we just read, he's just glorifying him in his, about his constitutional position. Meaning that when you think about it, what is God? In all of the details. This is the thing about Krishna Kanji. You get all these details rather than just God is great or he's all powerful, he's the creator. Okay, fine. But how did he create? What are some of the details of his glory? So we've had a lot of that in the Gita already, but this chapter is the pinnacle of all of that. And so now Arjuna is, you are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation, the moving and the non-moving. You're its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. So Arjuna is taking pleasure in this, in glorifying his master in this way. But it's not the same kind of pleasure he took in, being on an intimate level with Krishna, addressing him as a friend. It's a more a kind of official position. And at the end of all of this, he'll ask him to again show him his four-handed form, his more intimate form, and then finally the two-handed form. So Prabhupada quotes some verses here that he would often quote. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. This is the Upanishads. And here he's emphasizing, he only quotes the first two lines, that first of all, natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, that God has no duty to perform. When you think about it, what constitutes a duty? A duty is something you have to do according to a higher power, higher force. Sometimes it's a duty that you're happy to perform because you recognize your responsibility to people in general. Therefore, you go fight a war somewhere. This is my duty, or my duty to my family, and so forth, society. But there's a higher reality that gives you a duty. Krishna doesn't have that. He has no duties that he has to perform. He does everything by his own will. Now, that doesn't mean that he's not involved in our lives. He's not involved in this world. He feels involved because he's the Supreme Father. That's the first statement here. Pitasi lokasya characharasya. You are the Supreme Father of every living entity in every species of life. He'll say that in beginning of chapter 14. Sarva yoni shukontaya murtiyak sambhavantaya tasam brahma mahadyonir aham bija pradakpita. That line, aham bija pradak, I am the seed-giving father of every species of life. So naturally, Krishna feels responsible, just like any father. Here we are suffering in this world in complete ignorance, life after life, birth, old age, disease, and death. And so Krishna, periodically, he tries to remind us, he tries to enlighten us, either directly, through the heart, or through the books, or through the spiritual masters, or other, sadhus. Somehow or other, give us a chance to know the truth so we can escape from this problem. Just like a father, has so many children, and one of them goes off wandering, he runs away, and he hasn't come back, and what's going to happen? And then he finds out, oh, he's gone to San Francisco, classically. He's on the street. So he's naturally worrying about his child. When will he call? When will he, will I hear about him? I've dialed his number 100 times. He's not answering. So Krishna, he's concerned. Now he has so many dimensions of his consciousness. He can be completely absorbed in the internal Leela in Goloka Vrindavan. And at the same time, he's also concerned with us, and he's conscious of us. He's within every heart. Don't forget, he's accompanying us. So that's one aspect here. You are the worshipful chief, the supreme spiritual master. The idea is that he's acting as a spiritual master here. As Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is also an incarnation of Krishna, a literary incarnation said to be. So as Prabhupada makes the point in his purport, for someone to really be a genuine guru in this world, he has to be reflecting Krishna's instructions. If there's some distortion there or deviation, it means there's some personal motivation that's entering into it. And so getting the right source of knowledge is a key element of our getting on the path back to Godhead. And this is what Srila Prabhupada came to give. He proved by his life that he had no personal, material motive in what he was doing. It was so difficult, seemingly impossible. He underwent so many austerities to do it, constantly traveling. I recently was rereading the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, the exhaustive biography of Srila Prabhupada. And it describes there how he, at great effort, after a few years, he had a wonderful place in L.A. that's still there. The Watseka property was bought. Now it's been more developed. But it was very comfortable. He could write there. He had so many devotees. They were making devotees every day. They would someone would join. Dhanavir Maharaj joined. He was a champion level volleyball player. He was about to go into compete in the Olympics, and he met a devotee and visited the temple. Saw Srila Prabhupada, got into the. Of course, he had some interest in yoga and everything before that. But these caliber people were joining there. It was wonderful. I wasn't there, unfortunately. And Prabhupada was happy there. But what happened there, that Krishna arranged, you see Krishna's hand. Because Prabhupada was planning, well, my godbrothers, they can preach in India, and I've been given the West. Even the mantra that we Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Now there was no one else to write these mantras than Prabhupada himself, so he wrote it. So I offer obeisance unto you, the descendant of Saraswati, disciple of Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Bhaktisiddhanta, who are saving the Western lands. Paschatya Desh is the Western lands, America, Tarine, delivering from what? Nirvishesh Shunyavadi. Nirvishesha is impersonalism. Shunyavadi is voidism. There's a whole element, the Buddhists, the high Buddhism, they talk about, I read books about that. There was this Buddhist named Milarepa, Tibetan Buddhism, and it directly talked about there how the ideal, is merging into the void. He would be very austere. He would only eat nettles. And he kind of turned green, and so there was a nickname for him that was like that. Anyway, it's a whole story. I remember reading about him. And I even visited one, Baba Ramdas was, everyone knows his name, right? He was instrumental. After the Chinese invaded Tibet and took it over, there were refugees. Dalai Lama was one. And they came into, I forget the name of the city in India, and they settled there. Dharmashala. Yeah. And so one of them was this, I forget his name now, but he was brought over to America by Baba Ramdas, and then they set up in Boulder, and they started the whole thing. It's kind of prominent there, this Buddhism, So he was preaching, he came to New York, and I went to visit him. Baba Ramdas was there. I didn't speak to him, but I saw him in the audience. And so I was searching. I was going here and there in various groups. And so this was one of them. I said, okay, so I'm interested. I'm listening to him speak. And, okay, Buddhist philosophy. I looked at the audience. And the audience was a little bit scary to me. Because they kind of had a blank look on their face, like they were already kind of going for the void. And I swear, and this is famous, this Buddhist preacher, he would take a swig from a bottle of whiskey every now and then. Yes, yeah, he's famous for that. And by the end of the talk, he's a little tipsy and everyone. So I was saved from that. That didn't appeal to me. I was already chanting, thank God, that protected me somewhat. But the point is, that wasn't reflecting Krishna's teachings. Prabhupada says here, it has to be a channel, an open channel to Krishna's genuine teachings, for that really to be a channel going back to Krishna, right? In other words, if you want to go to the Goloka Vrindavan, and what's the appeal? It's not void, it's full of all kinds of wonderful personalities, beginning with Krishna, and it's our home. It's a home. There's a wonderful book called the Bhagavad, which I highly recommend. This was written by Sanatana Goswami. And Bhagavad, Amrita is like the nectar. So it's the nectar of the Bhagavatam. The context is that Parikshit, as you may know the story, he was condemned to die in 7 days, right? And he was the emperor of the world. And he was a very intimate servant of Krishna. Why is he called Parikshit? The names are really important. He's called Parikshit means searching everywhere. Why is he searching? What is he searching for? Well, when the battle was going on, the Battle of Kurukshetra, there was the son of Dronacharya. Drona was on the other side. You may recall that that Arjuna saw Drona and Bhishma on the other side, and this was one of the reasons he didn't want to fight. Dronacharya was his teacher, had taught him all the military arts, so he highly revered him. And somehow, due to all political ramifications, he was on the other side. He wasn't fighting with the Pandavas. And also Bhishma was there. And in addition, there were many other relatives and everything, so he was, the story, he was struck with it. So this Dronacharya had a son named Ashwatthama. Now, Drona was a Brahmin, but he knew the military art. He was a teacher of that, So Ashwatthama was also a Brahmin, but he was a fighter. But as the war took place over 18 days, it started out, there were all of these rules and regulations that they followed. Unlike today, where they'll bomb everybody, children and everything, poison gas, it's just horrible, There was people were even thinking, oh, this virus must be a biological weapon, but it turns out it wasn't. They've done tests and everything. But the fact that people could think that means, these governments, they'll do anything. Well, in those days, there were all these rules. But we're right at the cusp of the Kali Yuga, right? We're at the end of the Dwapara Yuga. So what happens is, in the course of this battle, when it started, they would fight like anything, during the day. But as soon as the conch shells blew at the end of the fighting in the day, then everyone put down their weapons, went to their tents, and they would visit each other. And they would have whatever, they would, the Kshatriyas would say, oh, you really shot your arrows very well today. Congratulations. These are harsh. And then in the morning, they would fight again. So that's just one example of the different rules. But as the battle wore on, those rules broke down. And at the end of the battle, when Dronacharya had been killed, Arjuna had to eventually kill Drona, Ashwatthama went nuts. And he killed the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi. Not only are they underage, but they're sleeping. You don't do anything like that. And he killed them in their sleep. Because his idea was, okay, we're going to lose this battle, we can see that. But we're going to kill every, descendant of the Pandavas and the dynasty will end. That was his idea. So he did that. And then, after the battle is practically over, he throws this Brahmastra weapon. It's mentioned in the first canto. Brahmastra is kind of a personalized atom bomb. It's thrown with mantras. A lot of these things are with mantras, And what is his aim? He wants to kill the last surviving descendant of the Pandavas, who is Parikshit. He's in the womb of Uttara, who is, I forget who her husband was. Do you know? Abhimanyu. And Abhimanyu had been killed also. And he was older, but he was ganged up on and they killed him. He was the son of Arjuna by Subhadra, I believe. Anyway, so this is the last one. So now this Brahmastra is coming, And Arjuna sees it, it's glaring, it's coming out, and she's running, and she says, Pai, Pai, Mahayogin. She says to Krishna, please protect me. Only you can protect me from this. You know, let it kill me, but my embryo, my fetus, you know. So Krishna, he quickly goes inside as a super soul, and he protects Parikshit, you know. But he's about to take birth, so he's awake, and he sees Krishna in the womb there. And so after he's born, he's always searching for him. So it's Parikshit. Everyone who's looking, he's always checking out. Is this the one? Yes, this is his name. So, but you see how far they went. Now Ashwatthama failed there, and eventually Arjuna went after him and captured him. And because he'd already killed Abhimanyu, and he killed those 5 sons, so he promised Draupadi, I'll bring him your head. You can stand on his head and take a bath, you know, and your ritual bath. So when he actually captured him, Draupadi said, no, I don't want his mother to grieve like I'm grieving. In other words, she showed her feminine side, you know, there's compassion. But Krishna said, you should kill him. And Draupadi said, you shouldn't kill him. Bhima said, you must kill him. So Arjuna was confused, you know. How can I kill him but not kill him, you know? So he humiliated him. He cut off all his hair, and, you know, like they did with Rukmi, and let him go. So what does he do? He throws it again. Anyway, it was incorrigible. So the whole, you know, everything became degraded over just those 18 days. But Parikshit was, you know, always searching for Krishna, and he was, of course, famous for sitting, you know, giving up his whole kingdom. When the Brahminical class became degraded, with this boy, Shringi. Shringi was the son of a great rishi named Shamika Rishi. I once played a part in his part in a play back in Brooklyn. We were doing this, the advent of Kali Yuga. Oh, they will become like monkeys. I can just foresee. Everyone is going to be, you know, because his son was he performed this horrible deed of cursing this great emperor for no good reason. He just, you know, he threw what happened was he's going through the forest, and he becomes very tired and thirsty and hungry. And he comes upon this this simple hut where Shamika Rishi is meditating, you know. So he's meditating. It means he's in internal, you know, his mind is turned inward. He doesn't see anything externally. He didn't realize the king had come. So, but Parikshit was covered, and he took umbrage. And because he wanted a little water, a little place to sit, you know, and he didn't even get that. So this great emperor, here's this, but according to the caste, you know, the Kshatriyas are below the Brahmins. So he took this dead snake and put it around the Shamika Rishi's shoulders, you know, and then he went off. But on his way back to the palace, he says, oh my God, maybe he was in samadhi, maybe he didn't even see me, you know, because he's actually a great king. So his little son, Shringi, heard about it and was enraged. You know, he had the power, he had the Brahma Tejas, but he didn't have the discrimination. He's just a young boy. So he curses the king to die in 7 days from the bite of a snake bird, you know, whatever. And so Parikshit has a choice to make when he heard about it. He could have counteracted the curse because he was a powerful devotee, or just prayed to Krishna, you know. But he took it as Krishna's will. And therefore he gave up the whole kingdom, sat down by the side of the Ganges, and waited. And gradually all these great souls came from all parts of the universe, and eventually Shukadeva Goswami, the foremost devotee, comes to sit and speak the Bhagavatam, which he'd learned from his father. He had heard it from Vyasadeva. And so Parikshit said, okay, by my, you know, accepting this curse and hearing this, I'll go back to Godhead by hearing the Bhagavatam. In 7 days I'll depart. And the Bhagavatam will be manifest in society for the welfare of everybody. So he was that detached, you know. So back to our verse here. Natasyakaryam karanam cha vidyate. Abhyadika, that word that everyone kind of tripped over. Abhyadika means greater. There's no equal to, sama is the same word, same, and abhyadika, nothing greater. That can be seen, drishyate, none that can be seen. It has no duty. Now the rest of the verse is very interesting. Welcome, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. what is it? Parasya Shaktir Vividhaya Vashuyate Swabhavati Jnana Bala Kriyacha. That part of the verse is not given here. Yeah, not there, Prabhu. That's the lady side. That's the lady side. That's the lady side, Prabhu. Yeah, you can lift everything up and just take it off because there's no other. And that the stand, which is upside down, unfortunately, and the seat. And you can sit on the seat. And turn that stand right up because it's upside down. You want to say it? The stand is upside down. Take the book up. There you go. That's Hare Krishna. Perfect. All right, we are on page 488. 488. So in the purport there, this verse, I just want to explore this because this is such an important verse. It's in the Upanishads, and the second part says, Parasya Shakti Vividhaya Vashuyate. It is heard, it is understood that Krishna has all kinds of energies. Now, the reason why it's important to emphasize that is because it's very important for combating the Mayavadis. The Mayavadis say that that God, Brahman, cannot be transformed. And if Brahman is creating everything, then he's transformed by his creation. Just like if we make something, if we create a painting, we're also transformed by that, at least on a subtle level, right? We put ourselves into it. We're probably attached to it, and we undergo a change by creating things. If you think about it, it happens like that. Certainly, mothers know that. There's a big change when they give birth. So Krishna, this whole universe is created by the Lord. But how does he do it? Through the energies. The energies, by his energies, he can create and manipulate all these things, but he himself has not changed at all. Just like the sun is giving out so much heat and light for millions of years, the sun is still there. Is he? So that idea, Parasya Shakti Vividaya, and Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha, and automatically, by the arrangement of the Lord, through the Bala Kriya, and means power and will and desire, everything is going on. Krishna remains untouched, unchanged, but everything is, this energies are all changing. So when you accept the inconceivable energies of the Lord, everything makes sense. And that's why it's inconceivable. Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. Beda means separate. We are his separate energies, right? But still we're intrinsic to him. We're part of the spiritual energy. This material energy is also separate, right? Binna Prakritirashtada. These energies. So he's connected to it, but it doesn't transform him. He's just willing things to happen, When we want to do something, it's different. We don't have all those energies. We can have a reflection of it. So like if you have some money in the bank, you can do stuff. You can make things happen. It's your energy. But once we do, we make things happen, then when we run out of money, we can't do anything anymore. Krishna never runs out of energy. He's like the sun, more than the sun. So that's so knowing Krishna perfectly involves all of these aspects: the majesty, the glory, the energies, the expansions, the devotees, how things are going on. This is part of Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha Gyan means knowing God, his energies. He summarized it: matter and spirit, and the controller of both. That's in the 13th chapter. We'll come on that. Really knowing God means knowing matter and spirit, how it relate, and the controller of both, and how we fit into that. And then he quotes this verse, Janma Karma to Me Divyam, which is one of there's a wonderful file that's been created of the top 180 verses that Prabhupada would quote, in the order of most quoted, and this one is right near the top. Hundreds of times in his lectures and purports and everything. Janma Karma to Me Divyam. So he's simply saying here in chapter 4, if someone knows the divine nature, the divyam, of my birth and karma, lila activities, in truth, tattvataha, very important, then when he gives up the body, he doesn't get another body, but comes to me. If you really understand Krishna's activities, which you can only do by purification, practicing devotional service, but that understanding comes from actually engaging in devotional service and hearing Krishna's glories. So that's part of what we're seeing here. Arjuna is giving us this power and the glory of the Lord, and he's experiencing it. But in the end, he'll ask Krishna to come back to the more accessible, personal figure that is so beloved. Okay, so now let's go to text 44, and this is some comments or questions. Okay. Tasmat pranamya pranidaya kayam prasadaye tvam aham isham idyam piteva putrasya sakheva sakyu priyak priyayar hasideva shodhum. You are the Supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates the impudence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, or a husband the familiarity of his wife, please tolerate the wrongs I may have done you. Purport. Krishna's devotees relate to Krishna in various relationships. One might treat Krishna as a son, or one might treat Krishna as a husband, as a friend, or as a master. Krishna and Arjuna are related in friendship. As the father tolerates, or the husband or master tolerates, so Krishna tolerates. So once again we see this kind of unnatural situation of Arjuna. These relationships are all very intimate. Son, friend, husband, wife, so forth. And Arjuna is feeling now that he's overstepped the bounds, in relation to this majestic, awe-inspiring vision. He says, well, how could I treat you as a friend? I really, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. What he's not in the mood of is, that Krishna really likes that. In other words, he much prefers the intimacy than the official position. Prabhupada tells a nice story about the Prime Minister of England, Gladstone, I think at one point he was there. And so, these prime ministers, they always get people coming wanting to see them, important business, so there's some minister or somebody, emissary from somewhere. So he was ushered in by the secretary into the waiting room. And there's these big doors, and behind the doors, as he was told, there's, the prime minister's back there, but he can't see you right now. You wait right here. So he's waiting and waiting, waiting. Time is going on. He said, what's going on, So he opens the door to see if Mr. Gladstone is okay. And he sees that he's playing there with his little nephew or grandson. And Gladstone is on all fours, and the nephew is on his back and playing as a horsey, And that's the important business that is keeping him from seeing some, But the idea is that Gladstone was having a much, more fun time playing with his nephew or his grandson than he would to see this, this official business. So that's relates. Krishna really prefers to just play in Goloka Vrindavan. It's like we have to remember we're part of God, and you can learn a lot about God by thinking of by introspection. So think about it. What would you do if you were God? Would you lord it over everybody? And then spend your whole time, you're mad, do this, do that, and everyone would be jumping and afraid of you. Yeah, he's powerful. He can, he can annihilate me at any moment. That's not, that's sick. In other words, that's something that someone who's not well wants to do all the time. There's a certain attraction of it because we're a perverted reflection of Krishna's power. And we try to get some of that power, and that's called demonic, asuric. But it's not pleasurable. You think of all the big demons in Krishna Lila that we read about. They're not having a great time. They're all worried, even without knowing about Krishna, that he's going to kill them. They think that this king is going to kill me, or something. There's some danger. How can I? You know what I mean? There's a lot of anxiety involved in that. So just lording it over others is not a source of great pleasure. But the real pleasure comes from intimate loving exchanges. If we didn't have that in our lives, then it becomes very empty. Now, the intimate exchanges we try to have in this world are a reflection of Krishna's intimate exchanges. And they ultimately lead to suffering. Because they're broken up. It gets broken. It can't fulfill the hope that we have for it. We're looking for our eternal loving relationship with Krishna, and we're looking in the wrong place, and that's what Maya is all about. But as far as what's happening in the ideal world of Goloka Vrindavan, you have these intimate relations. And that's where the real power and glory of Krishna is shown, is that he can have these intimate relations, fulfilling relations with an infinite number of people. And not just people, the animals, the plants, all those cows, they have their individual names. He calls them with his wonderful flute, and when they come, he pets them, he embraces them. It's not just the gopis and the cowherd boys, So that's what Krishna loves to do, and he's doing it all the time. And what but his concern is also for us who have lost that. We're in the minority. We're trying to imitate him here. So that's this mood that Arjuna is having here. He's showing that this is the proper mood for someone who has just realized our actual position in relation to God, which is humble servants and supplicants. That's our nature. We're servants. But Bhakti Yoga, especially Gaudiya Vaishnava Bhakti Yoga, is meant to take you beyond this Dasya Ras, and into the higher rasas, the Sakya Ras, which is what Arjuna is, even Vatsalya, as a parent of Krishna. Everyone, doesn't everyone appreciate when October rolls around or November and there's a Damodar Leela and you meditate on how Krishna is running from his mother and he's afraid, she's afraid. How could that be? Why does he take pleasure in that? Because he knows, his mother is just pouring out all this love. And he's drinking it in like the most nectarian beverage. But it means that she has to feel that she's the protector and she's the boss. And so he hides all of his glory, and it's the sweetest thing. Because it's God, children, even if it's not God, it's nice to see that, right? But because he's God, it's that special wonder for every devotee. Okay. So let's do one or two more. I want to end a little early so I can open these gates so you can have a better view of the deities. Adrishtapurvam rishitosmi drishtva Bhayena cha pramhyatitam manome Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam Prasida devesha jagannibasa. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. So now he's showing that, okay, enough with this universal form, then please, let's go back. Purport, Arjuna is always in confidence with Krishna. That means he's a very confidential friend with Krishna because he is a very dear friend. And as a dear friend is gladdened by his friend's opulence, Arjuna is very joyful to see that his friend Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and can show such a wonderful universal form. But at the same time, after seeing that universal form, he's afraid that he has committed so many offenses to Krishna out of his unalloyed friendship. Thus his mind is disturbed out of fear, although he had no reason to fear. Arjuna therefore is asking Krishna to show his Narayan form, because he can assume any form. This universal form is material and temporary, as the material world is temporary. Now that's an important point. It's not a transcendental form. But in the Vaikuntha planets, he, the Lord, has his transcendental form with 4 hands as Narayan. There are innumerable planets in the spiritual sky, and in each of them Krishna is present by his plenary manifestations of different names. Thus Arjuna desired to see one of the forms manifest in the Vaikuntha planets. Of course, in each Vaikuntha planet, in the form of Narayan, the form of Narayan is 4-handed. But the 4 hands hold different arrangements of symbols, the conch shell, mace, lotus, and disc. According to the different hands these 4 things are held in, the Narayans are variously named. All of these forms are one with Krishna. Therefore Arjuna requests to see his 4-handed feature. So he's not immediately asking again to go see the 2-handed feature. He's asking for the 4-handed feature. That in itself would be a big relief from this many-armed, many-headed, universal form, which is, as he says right here, is scary. It's frightening. It's just like if you see, the naked form of time, which is devouring everything, is destroying everything. It's always there, but we tend to forget it. but it's actually terrifying. You read about the demons, then in Krishna Lila. They're terrified. I mean, Kansa was afraid all the time because that eighth son is coming, In other words, time is passing. It's getting to be, my death is coming. This is the thing. So Arjun is asking Krishna to show him some mercy. Just be gracious upon him. Prasida Devesha Jagannivasa. So.
The universal form has demons as well as the positive side.
No, there's no demons in the universal form. But the point is that Krishna is destroying the demons there. That in itself, that destruction, the power, the blazing mouths, crushing the heads of the warriors here. It's just like, wow.
And he was afraid of those demons getting killed.
He was just. His mood now is one of wonder, and there's also another mood, ghastliness. If you look at there's rasas, There's 5 main rasas, but then there's these sub-rasas. And one of them is wonder, astonishment, ghastliness. You can think about it. That's why people like to see horror movies. It's ghastly, but at the end I can get up and walk out, it's okay. But you forget yourself and your heart's beating fast, Ultimately it's a lot of maya. But there's certainly a rasa there that can develop. But it's not something that Arjun ultimately wants to relish. He asked for this, to see this for our benefit. So that no one can try to pretend to be God. As Prabhupada says, well, okay, show me a universal form. I'm waiting. Nobody can do it. So. All right, one more. Karitinam gadinam chakrahastam Ichchami tvam drashtam aham tathaiva Te naiva rupena chaturbhujena Sahasrabaho bhava vishwamurte. O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. Purport in the Brahma Samhita 539, it is stated, Ramadi Mudishakalani Yamena Tishtan. The Lord is eternally situated in hundreds and thousands of forms, and the main forms are those like Rama, Nrsimha, Narayan, etc. There are innumerable forms, but Arjuna knew that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, assuming his temporary universal form. He, Arjuna, is now asking to see the form of Narayan, a spiritual form. This verse establishes without any doubt the statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and all other features originate from him. He is not different from his plenary expansions, and he is God in any of his innumerable forms. In all of these forms, he is fresh like a young man. That is the constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who knows Krishna becomes free at once from all contamination of the material world. So Arjuna is not even asking to see the two-armed form, which is even more dear than Narayan, but Narayan is very dear, Vaikuntha form. But that's clear from the next few verses, that he'll show him the two-armed form. And it's almost like it's, Wagnerian opera. I've never seen them, but they're very magnificent with all kinds of displays, But there's a crescendo, and then we're coming down to the coda, kind of the end of the whole display in this 11th chapter. And ultimately, you will see this. We're coming up on this last verse of the chapter when we come to that, where Prabhupada says, it's one. I don't know if I mentioned this, one of the first verses I have memorized. There's also another one here, one of the prayers. And Prabhupada says, this verse, summarizes the whole purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. So right here in the 11th chapter, after all of this display, we get to an essential verse about bhakti at the end of the chapter. And that leads right into the chapter called Bhakti Yoga, which from beginning to end describes, the science of bhakti. Okay, any further discussion? We're going to continue, hopefully, unless there's an order coming down from some court somewhere. Yeah.
So, the universal, Vishnu form was never before seen, right, Prabhu?
Not like this. Yeah.
So how did Arjuna know that? How did he ask for that form? Like, how did he know that Vishnu form existed?
I don't know. I have to look at the commentaries. Maybe he was inspired in the heart to ask for it. Arjuna, because Krishna wanted to see it, to show it. All right, we have 1 minute. I'll give you a little poem, something sweet to end on, because this is all very kind of scary, this universal form. The prayer, Rupa Goswami's prayer, one of his many prayers to Krishna. Bhujanga rupa chandrika spurata kanda chudankure nirankushadraganchara brahmana badna bringa brahme patanga duhitustati banakutira kedi priye paraspuratu me mohus tvayamukunda shuddharati. You wear the best of crests, a crown of perfect peacock plumes. Your dancing glances stun the bees meandering midst the blooms. You relish love play in a cottage by Kalindi's shore. Kalindi is the Yamuna. O Krishna, may pure love for you be mine forevermore. This is the prayer of the pure devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.